Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books,
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today, we are covering something that you all might be familiar with, even if you don't read comics that often, which is Infinity War. Or Infinity... Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Infinity Gauntlet.
This is the Gauntlet.
This is Gauntlet. So if you've ever seen, Infinity War or Endgame by the Marvel movies, the Avengers...
Marvel Cinematic
games,
Universe.
Yeah, all that stuff, all that popular shit right now.
You're acting like you don't like this stuff too.
I love it. I'm just joking. But that's what this is like the original, the OG source material for that movie storyline.
The connective tissues that they were going for. Yeah, I mean, and as we get into this, you'll see, you can see where they picked and pulled things. I mean, obviously,
there's literally two things from this comic that are in the movie.
They don't have all the rights to everything.
I'm sorry, three. There's Thanos, and there's an Infinity Gauntlet with stones.
Gems.
I'm sorry. And then and then there's Thanos at like a nice peaceful garden or whatever, or like a agrarian.
There's a couple more. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fun. You kind of seeing. I mean, it's different. Way different.
I was actually surprised how different it was, but we'll get into that. Anyway, so this is, like we said, is a Marvel comic. It's 6 issues. It was and I don't think this was called an event, but it was an event. I don't think, nowadays in comics, for all of you who don't know, events happen every year, at least once a year, if not 3 to 4 times a year, and they suck usually now.
However they can squeeze money out of you.
Yeah, however much they can squeeze out of you, they'll get it. But back in the day, they used to do an event every 5 or 10 years or whatever. So you had this event, the Infinity Gauntlet. I think Infinity War was also an event that came out of this. And then that might have been sooner than normal for an event back then. You had Secret Wars, which was where the Venom, the black Spider-Man costume came from.
I would like to go back and totally reread that, just on a side note.
I wouldn't. I've heard some of, or I've read enough of it to know I don't care about this. So we can always read whatever we want. So
we'll see. Maybe we'll do a poll soon and see what you guys want to.
Yeah, well, then we got to read what they want. Yeah, we'll probably do a poll. We're just picking stuff out of the air. So if you guys, we do a poll, see what you guys actually want to hear us talk about, and that will hopefully get you guys more involved.
It will be inevitable.
It will be inevitable. I am inevitable.
He does say that.
That was in there. That was true. So yeah, like we said, 1991 was when this came out. It is written by Jim Starlin. Have you read anything by Jim Starlin, Sean?
No, offhand, nothing I can tell you.
Okay, I don't think I've ever read anything by Jim Starlin either. He's got everything he writes is cosmic-y. He's got his own independent property that he came up with called Dreadstar, I believe, and it's very space pirate. It's he likes space stuff and cosmic shit and everything. Big, everything is the end of the universe and shit like that. So this is right up his alley as far as that's concerned. And then, but from what I understand, he's a pretty solid writer. And this definitely felt like he knew what he was doing. It just was a very, very big, all-encompassing book that spanned many books of other titles and everything. So, but his direction on this book was pretty solid. So, and then the art is by George Perez. Have you ever seen George Perez's stuff before?
I mean, I have to say that a lot of the 90s stuff starts to kind of look similar, so I probably have seen some.
How dare you?
Well, a lot
this
of
is the quintessential artist of the late 80s, early 90s.
Let me rephrase my sentence, because I say that and then there's some really shitty art from the 90s.
Yeah.
I would say in the 90s, all the art that looks really good, that is
looks the same.
Looks like, damn, that all looks good. And then you have the 90s art the Captain America with the chest that's 3 times the size of his head. And
so, as my wife said, that is actually Rob Liefeld used a model who did the oil injections into his pecs, and that's why it's so odd looking. Because I saw a guy, a weightlifter, who
I've seen some of those
fake. He had fake pecs, and it looked exactly like the Rob Liefeld Captain America drawing. So I think that was the model he used for
Maybe.
that.
Either way, but I liked it. It all looked good. Especially Thanos. Every time he was on screen, when he had every time he had like a gleam in his eye, those are always really great panels.
Let me ask you something. Did you notice that there was 2 artists on this?
Yeah, there was also
No. Did you notice? Because you're talking about you can't tell between different styles in the 90s, but did you notice a change in the art when it switched to Ron Lim?
No.
Yeah, you did. No, you didn't at all.
And not that I can tell you.
Oh wow. Okay, I totally noticed. I was like, oh, cool, Ron Lim. Maybe that's just like the different eyes or something.
That must be like that's why we make such a great team, because you are a hardcore comic guy and you're like, oh wow, I noticed this little. And sometimes I'll notice differences. Don't get me wrong. Like,
well, I was looking for it too. I was like, when does Ron Lim come into this? Because it says George Perez and Ron Lim, and like the first 3 issues were that.
When we were doing some of the Frank Miller ones, like it would definitely like night and day on some of the. And
well, yeah,
that's another story. But like I was like, oh whoa, like, and I had like I really like this art. I really didn't like this in the same comic, but
yeah,
this one like it all flowed really well. So like maybe that's why I did.
Well, and that's a attribute of Marvel Comics, because they had a Marvel comic style, so everybody kind of had to fit into that a little bit. But I definitely noticed, oh, these are the issues with Ron Lim. Not just because it said his name in the titles, but just in the art style. It was like, okay, like they're close enough that it's not jarring for the reader, but you can tell, oh, he did that with this person and that with this person, and it was different. So I like them both a lot in this. I thought they did really, really good job. The storytelling, and as far as the art's concerned, is fantastic. But we'll get to, enough of that, technical shit. We get to what you guys want, which is the story. What is the story about, and why is it different than the movie, and why should I pick this up to read? So basically, this book starts on like Thanos has already got the Infinity Stones. There's no like question of whether he's going to get them or whatever. He's got the gauntlet already, and the stones are in it, and he already is God.
The Infinity Gems.
I'm sorry.
There are gems in the. No, that's okay. I get the why they went with stones in the movies as far as like how they were physical, but yeah, like they're called gems in this.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call them stones too, because that's how it works. So, but yeah, like he's already there, and like he already accomplished everything he wants, and so you think as someone who's watched the movies, like, okay, now he's gonna like head straight to Earth, snap, fight the Avengers, all that shit. No, that's not what happens. So like, it starts off on a planet. He's just on a random planet. He's with his little sidekick Mephisto, who's like a devil or something.
Yeah, he's like the head of the underworld or something.
Yeah, I think in Marvel he's like considered Satan basically, but without saying that. And so he's like the right-hand man of Thanos. And right away you can kind of tell that Mephisto, he's got an ulterior motive. He's got plans that we're not privy to, and neither is Thanos. He's got ideas. So, but like, he kind of eggs Thanos on into certain stuff. And then right away, Thanos is like, I want to go see her or whatever. And he like then goes to like where Mistress Death, who I guess is like Death.
I have a hard time. I kept saying Lady Death when I was writing about it. And I was like, different character. Can't color that. I forgot.
Yeah, she looks like Raven actually from the Teen Titans.
She did kind of, yeah.
But like she's got the hooded stuff. At first they draw her as a skeleton, and then later on she's always a woman, like in the robes. So it's weird. But at first she's like a skeleton in robes, and Thanos like goes to like Death's Island in the middle of space, and is like, it's just like a little floating altar thing, and he's like, why won't you talk to me? I love you.
I love you. You're my woman.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is Thanos the god of everything? Like, he's all powerful now. Why is he like, simping over this woman for no reason? Like, and then I guess what happened is Thanos used to be dead. They kind of explain this later on. Like this has a lot of like back and forth between different areas, so I'm kind of like just sticking with Thanos on this.
Yeah, we're gonna jump around a little bit just because there's so much. There's so many cutaways to something other people are doing, and half the time, what they're doing at that moment did move the story along.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're just like, oh, okay, I guess Wolverine's still in this.
Yeah, maybe there will be a setup later, but it's like it didn't need to have. Like they could have put those two parts together.
Yeah, and so like. Apparently, before this comic, at some point. Thanos died. So I didn't know that. And then also or I guess Lady Death, or not Lady, fuck, I'm going to say that now. That other you said Lady Death. Okay, Mistress Death. I'm just going to call her Death. Death wanted to like restore, she felt there was an imbalance in the universe with, because there's more people that are alive now than have ever been dead. So she's like, oh, I got to correct that. So what I'll do is I'll bring Thanos back from the dead and he'll fix that issue. And so she does that. And Thanos at first is like, oh yeah, I'll help you out. I love you and blah, blah, blah. And then he like eventually figures out he can like coerce Death into letting him collect all the Infinity Stones and the Gauntlet. And then that's his goal, is like to become all powerful. So he got his glove and everything like he wanted. But in the process, she's all mad that he like coerced her.
He still hasn't done what she brought him back to do.
Right. But also she's mad that he like used her to get the glove and the power. So like that was like the reason why she spurned him at first. And then it was also like, you still need to do the thing I brought you back for or whatever. And so so that's like his motivation is like literally just, I want Death's approval.
I want her love.
I want her love.
Why would you love me?
Yeah, for some reason. I'm not 100% on that, but okay. And then I'm giving you guys the backstory because this is way like further, like they cut to this, but it's, so apparently when Thanos first got the Infinity Gauntlet, a guy named Adam Warlock, who I think was teamed up with him at first, but then decided to not be teamed up with him, teamed up with Silver Surfer, and they fought him. And then they lost because he had like I think Adam Warlock had the Soul Gem originally. So Thanos got the Soul Gem from him, trapped Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer in the Soul Gem, and then Adam Warlock was allowed to, or was able to like escape just Silver Surfer with his magic. And then so Silver Surfer got out of the Soul Gem and like heads to Earth. So the first time we see any humans in this, it's like Doctor Strange, and he's sitting in his, house, and he's like, Wong, how about you get me some tea and we'll talk about
magic things.
Magic and surgery or whatever the fuck he talks about. And then also, dude, Doctor Strange's mustache in this, his mustache game was on point.
Oh,
he
yeah.
had like the biggest fucking, like his mustache wasn't just like a celic. It was like a celic and a handlebar. Yeah, it was like fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they should make Benedict Cumberbatch grow that fucking thing. But yeah, so he's like chilling in his house, and then all of a sudden the crash happens. You're like, what's going on? And he goes upstairs, and Silver Surfer is like crash into it, and he's like, he's coming. Thanos is coming.
Yeah, this was a similarity because they made was Hulk in the movie, but
yes, similar idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then like, we kind of cut to like other heroes that are alive and stuff. We see like, oh, there's Spider-Man and there's these people and whatever, and then we cut back to the Death little island, and like 2 comics of this are Thanos being like, why don't you love me? And that was very weird. I don't get why he was so like, why don't you love me? And then the funny thing was like Mephisto kept like whispering in his ear like, maybe it's because of this. Like, why don't you show her how badass you are? And he's like, all right, I'll show you. Yeah. And then like he'd be like, check this out. This is how badass I am. And he's like, check out my daughter Nebula. She's fucking horrible because I tortured her. And so Nebula is in this. Gamora, not so much like from the movie, but Nebula's in this, and she looks different than the movie. In the movie, she's like a cyborg, or like mostly been replaced with some kind of cybernetic, enhancements. And in the comic, she's like a zombie almost. She's like a skeletal person that has been tortured and fucked up and like
Thanos
broken mentally.
He like keeps her like at some place in between life and death.
Yeah, so she's like super fucked up, and it was kind of. I mean, if you think about what he did to Nebula in the movie, it's kind of similar because, like, instead of making her look like a zombie and like all fucked up, flesh and everything, you just take away all her flesh and replace it with robot parts. So you are kind of making her less than human, you know? So it makes sense, like, why they did that. But, like, he's like, check it out. Like, look what I did to my... It's not his daughter. It's his granddaughter in this. He's like, check out what I did to my granddaughter. And Death just, like, looks at him and turns away. Like, And then, like, he's like, what do you want, woman?
What do you want from me?
I'm showing you how badass I am. And so, like, they're talking still. And, like, Mephisto's like, well, you know, you still haven't done what you said you would do. So, like, why don't you, you know, get rid of all the people? Like, that's what, you know, she brought you here for.
You need to get rid of half of the universe.
Yeah. And so he snaps.
Yeah, and that was cool. He did the snap.
Yeah.
A couple panels to that. And
yeah. And I like the way they drew it, where it's like, he's like, hand ready, hand up, and snap. Bend and snap. And so, yeah, like, he does it, and I like how they showed it. It was like, they show Spider-Man. He's flying around New York, and he's looking at Times Square, and all of a sudden, half the people vanish. And there's like some lady that's like, my baby! Where's my baby? And he's like, what's going on? And then he's like, I got to see if MJ's okay. And then, like, you assume she is not okay. And then, like, you see Captain America, and he's like, I'm at Avengers Tower, and I'm doing my job. And he's like, you know, whatever, whistling through the halls. And then he walks into, like, the control room, and there's a Avenger named Cersei, who I'd never heard of before, and Hawkeye. And then, like, he's like, hey, Cersei, or he's like, hey, Cersei, go get me a coffee and give me those papers or whatever. He doesn't say that for real, but it kind of, I feel like that's what they should be saying in these sections. And then it was like last week with Carol and the professor. There's this one,
a lot of coffee grabbing.
Yeah, for the ladies in the Avengers and other people. So no matter how qualified they are, he did not do that for a reference, but it felt like he was gonna do that, and then he didn't, and I was happy because it's Captain America. So yeah, that would be bad. And then, but the Hawkeye's there, and Hawkeye and this. Oh man, what do you think of the costumes? I forgot what the '90s Cap and the '90s Hawkeye look like.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cap's is fine. I will never say anything bad about Cap costumes because
Cap's boots.
Nah, man,
his pirate boot.
I loved him.
Oh, but Hawkeye also has pirate boots. Hawkeye, and they're purple.
Yeah.
Hawkeye looks like a knockoff Captain America with different color scheme, and he shoots arrows.
Well, at least he didn't have his gigantic H.
That's true.
Thing on, because when he had that headdress that he has for a while with like the Wolverine points and then the big H in the middle of his forehead, he gives himself a target. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's bad. But yeah, this wasn't quite to that level, but he definitely had the pirate boots, and it was definitely like, well, I'm glad he got snapped away, because the second, like, Captain America's like, oh, what about that? And he looks around, and the files are on the floor. And he's like, Hawkeye, seriously, what happened? Or whatever. You know, it's like they all disappeared. And then, like, pretty much, yeah, everybody, they show, like, a bunch of other people who disappear, too. Like, people that don't matter at all. Like, one thing I thought was going to come back, but apparently it doesn't. And maybe it does in another comic. Like, a lot of this stuff, they would show people and show something interesting that was going to happen. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how they wrap that into the story. And then they don't. So, but it was like they showed the Skrulls, and the Skrulls are like,
that's right.
Like, this must be a Kree, you know, attack. Like, of course it's them. We'll send our army.
Them. Yeah, and then it shows, and then it was like the next one shows the Kree, like, this was obviously the Skrulls we're going to attack them.
And so they're like both about to have a war, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how they're going to weave this into the thing. And they don't.
Nope.
They
never
just
see it again.
leave it hanging, and I'm like, fuck. I guess you had to read about the Skrull war, or Skrull war. Yeah. And yeah, and then, like, you know, in their books or some shit. But it was interesting. I wanted to see what happened. So I was a little mad that stuff didn't get brought up again. But it was confusing enough with how many times they were cutting back and forth to people I didn't know. So how many people, how many would you say of the characters that they introduced into this would you say you knew?
Oh, okay.
Knew of.
You want to point that out real fast?
Yeah.
So there are a couple of main Avengers in this, and then the rest of the characters. Like, so I've heard the name and seen pops and a couple figures of Adam Warlock. No idea who the hell he is.
Yeah.
And I have, like, some of the Celestials and some of the other.
I know who Galactus is.
Yeah, Galactus. Some of the bigger, like.
I know of the Celestials only because of Venom.
Oh, Venom. Okay.
Or because we read that Venom run by Donny Cates and Null fights them in it, right?
Well, the Celestials are also mentioned in Guardians. That's
Yeah,
how
but I never
remember.
read the Guardians. So.
No, movies.
Yeah, but they don't look like that.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember. What are you talking about?
That's fine. And then, yeah. So like I've heard the name Epoch before, and what was? Oh, now I don't remember. Thanos' brother in this. I didn't know it was his brother.
Fuck if I know.
But like I like
the people from Titan, because
Yeah.
Thanos is a person from Titan of the moon around Neptune. Is that what it is? Jupiter, whatever.
Jupiter.
And yeah, so on that planet, there's like a king and a son and another son, and Thanos is one of those sons. And like,
a new death in Mephisto. I think Mephisto. I think I've had seen him.
I know of him
Doctor
from One
Strange
More Day,
and,
Spider-Man.
and some Spider-Man. Yeah, then he's in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon for a bit.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's some of those, but yeah, like, but when it gets into like, there's some characters that they bring in, and I'm like, okay, it's a new weird character, we'll see, but like they bring in 3/4 of these new characters and
don't do anything.
They don't do anything, or they're only there for one reason. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But so anyway, they introduce a lot of people randomly. I was like, oh, they're gonna do something with these people. They introduce like all the gods, like Odin, and then they introduce like Ares or whatever, not Ares, Zeus, and I don't know, all these different gods from a bunch of different pantheons.
Yeah, they had like a Native American god. They had like
they had an Aztec god. They had a Mayan god. They had all these gods.
Yeah, it was cool.
And the gods just get
like
trapped.
Odin summons them to like this court, and he's like, "We are going to work together as one."
Yeah, and then they get stuck there, and they're just stuck at a table.
And they're like, "Oh, the Rainbow Bridge, bro, we can't go anywhere. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't realize that we needed the Rainbow Bridge." So yeah, it's like they would introduce people, and you're like, "Oh, what's this going to be?" And, oh, nothing. It was nothing. Or maybe it is something, but it's in another book, so I didn't know. So yeah, I'm not reading 40 books to figure out exactly what all these introductions are for. So basically, yes, he snaps. It goes away. It still doesn't make death on his side. Then we cut to like the after effects, right? And you see like a screen, and it has all these third-rate Avengers that no one cares about, and they're all missing except Hawkeye.
It showed all the Fantastic Four were gone, all 4 of them.
Oh, did it show all of them?
I looked at this one gravely. It's all 4 of them. A couple of bigger X-Men, like it was like Archangel and Storm were gone.
I saw Archangel, but I'm like, he's not that big of an X-Men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not Cyclops or whatever.
No, because they also had like Puck and
hey. Don't you say anything about Puck. He's my favorite.
But there was
we should totally say Drax is in this comic, but he is not like the Drax in the movie. Drax in the movie is so much better and well done as far as like the character of him, like in the way that Bautista plays him and everything, like so much better than this Drax. This Drax is just a fucking idiot.
Now he looks like a green version of
Green Goblin. A buff Green Goblin.
No, he looked like a green version of Apocalypse a little bit. Like he's got like the square.
Oh yeah.
He looks kind of similar in the actual coloring of him. But
like he just looked like a big tough guy. There was no like, I don't know. He just didn't do a good job. That's what he looked like apparently in the comics. I did not know that. I've never read. The only Drax I've read was like the original like Annihilation run, where Drax kind of looks like he does in the movie. So I was like, okay, I guess that's what Drax looks like. But no, he looked like a big dum-dum. It was ridiculous, and he was a big dum-dum. So the Avengers who are left are Thor, Vision, She-Hulk, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, Iron Man, Wolverine, Hulk, Namor, and not all these are Avengers, but just superheroes that are left. Black Widow, Nick Fury, Scarlet Witch, and then some other like side ones that don't really matter.
White Nick Fury, by the way.
Yeah, it's White Nick Fury. This is not. This is like the original Nick Fury, not the Ultimates that then became.
Not Sam Jackson Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The Ultimates has always been Sam Jackson since that's who they based him off of.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the Ultimates one became just by popular demand. The normal one, like the one that's in regular continuity. Also, Doctor Doom is in this.
Yeah. So, okay, I want to don't want to talk about this for a second because Doctor Doom's in this, and I got excited. I was like, "Oh, that's cool!" Because Doctor Doom, when he's in a comic, usually he's playing the long game too. So we're gonna have some real cool payoff with him. And Doctor Doom's fun. Like he shows up.
Yeah, he adds a good like banter to stuff.
Yeah, because Doctor Doom, like he
basically he's like he's alive after the snap, and he's like, "What happened? What's going on?" And
no
he's
one
like,
doesn't
there was a
even know my
weird
people.
Yeah, he was like, there was a weird blip in space and a weird blip at Doctor Strange's house. So I'm going to go to Doctor Strange's house and see what's up. He runs into Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange and is like, what did you do? And like, I must know. And then they tell him about Thanos and he's like, oh, I'll help you guys out. Like, we're a team. And like, I want
For now.
Yeah, exactly. So like he teams up with them, but it's very obviously he's going to try to get the glove. And they didn't even like tease that ever, other than like him saying like, we'll see what happens. You're like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna get it. But then like when it actually comes time to beat, when he's around the glove, he never even like gets a chance to get it really.
No, like he tries, I think, for once. But
Well, everybody tries. There's like a panel for everybody like lunging for the glove, and he's one of them. So it's like, but it's not like that, like, almost gets it or something, So, but yeah, so basically, oh yeah, and also after the snap happens, and I don't really know how this happened. It just happened. So we were introduced to 3 people who are kind of horrible humans, and they're at a bar and they're all drunk and they're like talking and shit. And one guy's like, "Let me get the keys. I'll drive home." And then he drives them off a cliff, and then they die, and then the bodies get resurrected or they get possessed and resurrected by some people. You don't know who they are. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it just shows these people drive off and then their bodies come to, little lights come down and then like possess the bodies and that's it. Like, what happened? Well, what happened was Adam Warlock apparently used his magic to get out of the soul gem, and he brought his buddy Pip and he brought Gamora, who you all might remember from the movie, who was not in this comic at all, hardly. So, I don't think she's even Thanos' daughter.
Not that they mentioned.
They don't mention her in this, so she's just green. She's green like she is in the movie. That's about it. That's about the only thing that's the same. And so that's how Adam Warlock gets to our Earth. He automatically goes once he like hatches. He like has to go through like a cocoon state. It's weird, but eventually he gets to the point where he's like, okay, I gotta reveal myself to the Avengers, and we gotta team up and beat Thanos. And the funny thing is, I don't understand why they have to come beat Thanos, because he's not coming to them. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we're talking.
They keep saying like he's coming. It's gonna be the biggest thing.
Eventually, their plans to go to him. Like he's not even.
He's on Death's thing, trying to like get Death to love him.
That's all he's worrying about. He's like, he did a snap, and now he's moved on back onto okay, Death. Like, are we good? Are we
happy now?
You love me? You love me yet?
What can I do to make you love me, woman? So yeah, he's just like, he's just whipped by Death. Like, he really, really wants to figure out how to make her like him. And so one of the things I liked is he's like, fine, you don't like me? Well, I'm going to make myself a better wife. And I'm going to, she's going to love me. It's like, you won't. And so like he makes with his, gauntlet, like another wife called Taraxia.
And it looks just like him.
Yeah, which is weird as fuck.
But she's got like long black hair.
Yeah.
But like same kind of armor.
Well, not as bulky as him, but same armor, same color, same everything.
It's a female-esque body, like curvy body, that's purple like him.
Yeah.
And
so he basically made it so like he's looking at himself in a mirror with a wig, and he's like, that's exactly what I want.
And I love he like makes he's like, yeah, she's gonna be way better than you. Like looking back at her, like, is she noticing? Did she watching?
Notice? Yeah, yeah. And she's not happy. Like Death looks at her and then just like walks away into the corner, and like Death's got her like silent game down. Yeah, like she's winning the argument without saying a word. It's pretty funny. It's like, wow, I wonder who taught her that. But but yeah, so Adam Warlock is like, okay, he finally reveals himself to all the Avengers. And it's weird, a lot of the Avengers stay in the same place the whole comic. Like, everybody's in Doctor Strange's house, or everybody's in like the Avengers Tower. They're just staying around there. You assume they've gone and done stuff, but they never show them.
But they meet back. Yeah,
and Thanos is always at the Death's thing, so like, or Death's island or whatever. So it's like, wow, a lot of people are just staying in the same spot, for a place where things are supposed to be moving and happening. Not a lot's moving and happening in these panels. So, but eventually Adam Warlock finally comes and reveals himself and is like, hey, I know what's going on. I'm the leader of this. I'm the one who freed Silver Surfer. Everybody listen to me. And everybody except Dr. Doom's like on board. They're like, okay, like you seem like a legit guy.
And Dr. Doom's like, who made this guy the leader?
Yeah, and he's like, shut up, Doom. He's like, all right. So like basically he's like, okay, I got a plan, guys. And the plan is to attack Thanos head on with all the Avengers. You guys, you might have a chance. You know, it's going to be real hard. I know he controls time and space. And everything, but like I think you guys might have a shot if you work real hard. So basically we find out later. I'm not gonna like drag you through all the waiting and all this shit, but basically what happens is the plan
before you go to that plan, he also does one other thing, because in the meantime while this is going on too, there's these two other side characters, Epoch and Quasar. Right. And they're like, one's like a big giant floating head in space and the other guy is like some spacey
Quasar is the replacement for Captain Marvel. When Captain Marvel died of, I think he died of cancer.
Of course.
Because Captain Marvel used to be a man in the 80s.
Yes.
He dies of cancer, and then I think Quasar replaced him because he had the same suit on.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was like, oh, it's Captain Marvel. And it's like, no, it's Quasar. I'm like, who's Quasar? And then I was like, and then they even said, when I replaced Captain Marvel, I'm like, oh, okay.
That's right.
That's who that is.
So they're in space and they're like, oh, we have to gather with so and so because he's coming, and we didn't know if he's talking about Thanos or whatnot. So then they go, and then Silver Surfer and they figuring out that plan. He says, the Avengers, we're all gonna fight head on, but before we do that, I have to go make a pit stop.
Yeah,
and so Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer. I love that he like uses Silver Surfer as his personal like chauffeur the entire thing. He's like, I'm gonna hop on your board.
I'm gonna say this: Adam Warlock is not a hero. He doesn't seem like a hero in almost any of this book. Like, I don't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy before this, but he definitely doesn't seem like a good guy.
He doesn't come off as like...
No, he doesn't come off as a good guy. So we know that... I know later on there's an Infinity War, so maybe that's what that's about. But this makes it seem like Adam Warlock is good, but he never feels like he's good in this comic. And like John was saying, he's going to collect all these like big heavy hitters, like cosmic heavy hitters. So he and Silver Surfer go to talk to the Celestials and this god-like person called Eternity, which is basically the universe.
Yeah, it looks like the universe.
Yeah, it looks like a stars in the shape of a body, like, you know, a mass of stars. So
yeah. Galactus.
Yeah, Galactus.
There's like the physical embodiment of like love and hate.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Celestials. There's a couple Celestials.
Yeah, so there were all these like space kind of things, and he's like, all right,
same kind of the most powerful people in Marvel ever.
Yeah, and it's the same kind of thing. All of the other Celestials pretty much get on board. They're like, okay, we'll help you fight Thanos head on when you need us, except for one person. Galactus is like, why would I help you? Like, yeah. You're basically a loser, Adam. We're like, didn't you die before?
Yeah.
Like, why would I help join you guys?
And then Adam's like how, like, you're just a big dum-dum, Galactus. And Galactus is like, how dare you talk to me like that? And he zaps Adam with his eye rays. And then like everybody thinks he's dead. And then he's like, haha, I am not dead. I am right behind you. And then Galactus is like, what? And then all the other gods are like, we're with him. So, and then Galactus is like, I guess I'll be with him too.
I guess.
So, yeah, I'm going to call them the Cosmic Heavies because you don't actually have to know any of their names other than Eternity. And
the love and hate have a tiny role.
Not enough to like fucking mention really, but yes, they have a second where they distract Thanos for a minute. But yeah, so basically, so the plan is about to happen. The Avengers are going to attack him head on.
Oh, there's one more side I forgot. It's because he told all the Avengers about this plan. They're like, okay, we're head on. And they're like, wait a minute, where are Wolverine and Hulk? And they're like, oh, they're on the roof.
I liked this part a lot, actually.
I did too.
So apparently, and I didn't know this. I haven't read too much Hulk and Wolverine stuff. I've read a lot of Wolverine by himself or a lot of X-Men by themselves. But I didn't realize, and this makes sense because there was an Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine comic. But I didn't realize that traditionally Hulk and Wolverine don't like each other, and they have like an animosity to each other. Also, in this, Hulk has been kicked out of the Avengers for some reason, and they've just brought him in and like said they'll like let him be an Avenger again.
And he's kind of like Smart Hulk in this because he's talking.
Yes, he's Smart Hulk. Also, he's not Gray Hulk, where he's smart or whatever. He's just like he is kind of like Banner in Endgame, where he's smart, but he looks like Hulk, and he can figure shit out.
But he's also wearing like clothes that fit him.
Dude,
I like
Hulk has a fucking speed suit in this, which is awesome. He's got a onesie with a belt on, and I was like, that's what Hulk should wear and everything. I loved it. I was like, yeah, it's not the torn pants or shirt anymore or no shirt. It's all speed suit for him. He went to a shop and was like, I want something that I can take off easily and
be
put back
breathable,
on.
but
yeah, I knew, but I want it to really fit my form really well. So he got like a
we got this
suit.
5XL.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he wears. And then like it's got like a belt for some reason. I don't know why, because it's just all the same.
Because
thing.
it ties the outfit together.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Why do you wear a belt?
Accessorizing.
If it's a one piece and it's not going to fall, why do you wear a belt?
Exactly. I don't know, but it looks fantastic. So I was like, oh man, they should draw Hulk on this again. But yeah, so like him and they're like, oh no, Hulk and Wolverine are together on the roof, and then like then they cut to the roof and Wolverine and Hulk are like, hey man, sorry about like all that shit from last time. They're like, oh no worries, we're good. And like they make up, which is weird.
And I love Wolverine is like he's not smoking cigars in this one. He's smoking cigarettes.
Yes, I loved it. I was like, oh my god, I totally noticed it too, because you do not see superheroes smoking. Even if it's a cigar or whatever, you don't see him smoking.
He's just
anything.
like biting it. You don't see the smoke.
Yeah, exactly. And in this, he is puffing away while talking.
They might as well have like a Laramie ad.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm smoking my Laramie 100 menthols.
I was down with it though. I was like, man, he looks so fucking cool with that cigarette in his mouth.
Make me want to pick up.
I went and bought some just for that, just so I could look like Wolverine.
But that was fun because so Adam Warlock's like, I'll go talk to him. So he runs up there and he's like, hey guys. So we're gonna do this, right? And they're like, yeah, I guess. He's like, good, because you two, you're like animals, and I have a perfect plan for crazy animals like you two.
Yeah, and so, but the thing is, the plan is all the same for everybody.
It is, it's true.
All right, like Adam Warlock's saying this, he's like, me and Silver Surfer are going to wait way back, and then everybody else is gonna rush at Thanos and die, and then, and then at the opportune moment, we're going to send Silver Surfer to grab the glove, whenever that moment happens to be, and hopefully everything goes to plan.
And that's how we're gonna do it.
So that's the plan. So, so that's what happens. Basically, everybody attacks him, and like everybody's losing horribly. Like, I don't know if did you have any of the death scenes that particularly hit you, hard. There was a couple that I was like, holy shit. We're like Quasar, the guy you were talking about, who's like, doesn't matter at all. No. He just comes, he's like, finally, I will beat you, Thanos. And Thanos is like, really? And he just like makes his hands explode.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit.
That's true. There were a couple times that were people that like they were not like obviously very painful deaths for the hero.
Yes. Like he turns Thor into glass and like shatters him and stuff. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that was kind of cool because those are kind of some things. Like he turned one of them into like some kind of like spirally paper, and a couple of them like broke down into like little blocks of things.
Yeah. Yeah, like he liked little cubes or like glass cubes or something that can fall apart. But yeah, he was just like defeating them all like as you would. And then right as I think right before he does that a couple times, and then Mephisto, and this is why I thought Mephisto would have like more of a role. He's like, wait a second, Master. Like Thanos freezes time, and so all the rest of the heroes are about to punch him, and he goes like, don't they understand I can just kill them all right now? And Mephisto's like, well, Master, maybe you should use this moment to impress Death again, even though you have your new wife, your better wife. And he's like, and she's not even mad at this. Like Taraxia is like, oh yeah, impress your old wife, the girl you like. I'm fine with it. Like she doesn't say anything. I thought they might have like a jealousy thing or something happen, but nothing happens with Taraxia.
That's because Thanos thought her up, and so she's also like, well, maybe like the three of us. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. That probably makes more sense. As she's like, oh yeah, Thanos wanted us to have a three-way, so I got to be cool with it. But yeah, so Mephisto's like, maybe you should take this time to improve or like to show off your skill. So like maybe you should depower yourself, so that way you can just
don't know things before they happen. And
like stop your cosmic powers, just keep your strength, but like your other ones like time and knowing what's going to happen and everything and all that shit. Like why don't you not do those? And he's like, good point. So then he does that, and so like now the Avengers have kind of a chance.
Kind of.
Because now he's not like super powered. He's just kind of super powered. So he still has the power that he had, like the strength that he had before, but he doesn't have like the time and all that shit.
Yeah, that gives like Hulk is able to like when he jumps in, he's able to like sucker punch him.
Yes, Hulk is able to punch him because he doesn't know the punch is coming now or whatever. But so it gives him a little bit of hope, but it doesn't really work that well. So and Death is still not happy with this or whatever. So
Vision's death was cool too. It was kind of similar movies. Vision like shoots him and Thanos like goes through and just like rips like I guess the power out of his chest.
Oh yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was super cool. And then so basically we find out because the whole time they keep cutting back to Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer, and Adam Warlock's hold on, wait for it.
And Silver Surfer's like, I really should go and help them.
I said wait for it.
But
I said wait for it. Like,
but they're all dying.
Yeah, and they're just watching everybody die, and Silver Surfer's like, come on, I gotta do something. And so finally, Captain America is like the only one left, and he like goes up to Thanos. He's like, now it's your turn, Thanos. Like, you know, I know I'm like a weakling and a human, but like I'm gonna take you on because I've got the power of America or whatever the fuck he says. And then
right before Cap fights, I really liked Wolverine's quote unquote kind of death, how he gets him because he's like going to fight him and Wolverine gets like a couple claws towards him, and then Thanos turns his adamantium skeleton into like rubber.
Yeah, it was like I wish I had no bones. Yeah, it was just like Family Guy where he's like, I wish I had no bones.
Yeah,
and then he like turns into a thing of goop.
I thought that was funny.
Yes. So
yeah, and then Cap's like, you're going down because of America.
Like, I know you have infinite powers other than time right now, but America is strong. And then he like walks up to him and says, manifest destiny, and he punches him. And then right when he's about to punch him, like his arm is pulled back and Thanos is like, ha ha ha. Like that's when Adam Warlock goes, now! And Silver Surfer shoots as fast as he can on his surfboard. And the plan was to grab the glove off Thanos' hand while he thinks he's going to get punched by Captain America, apparently. And they build it up, and it's like like panel of like fist coming, Silver Surfer coming, fist coming, and then he flies by Thanos, and they're like, oh man, he missed.
Yeah, he just barely like I think like barely taps him or something.
Yeah, he fucking misses, and then like Thanos is like, ha, so that was your plan all along. And then like right before you can do anything else, the big cosmic heavies show up. So then it's like, oh, this is like phase 2 of the plan, I guess. I guess plan 1 was, you know, fight him, everybody dies, and when he's distracted, Silver Surfer, you steal the glove. If that fails, then we'll call in the big guys, and the big guys fight him, and then, you know, hopefully, I guess the same thing, we'll distract him and get his glove somehow. So what happens? All these heavies show up, and they start fighting him, kind of one-on-one, and every one of them's losing. I'm like, really? It's like all of these people fucking suck. They attack him, and so they're fighting him. And this was like the thing I was like, oh, finally, like this makes sense. So Mephisto, this is like where he comes out. He's like John said, what was it, love and hate or whatever?
Yeah.
So love and hate distract, or like they're gonna fight Thanos, and he's getting like turned by their emotions.
Yeah, he's like they're making Thanos emotional. He's like, oh, do I keep doing this? Is this really gonna make Death love me? Maybe I should stop. Maybe, you know, it was interesting.
Yeah, it was like corrupting his emotions or like using his emotions against him, and that's why he's distracted at this moment, because Mephisto is like, right now he's distracted. And Mephisto goes to grab the glove off his hand, and literally, like, it was funny because I thought, oh, he's gonna get it, and then it's gonna be like this whole other thing. And what happens is it'd be like if a person grabbed your arm and you just like looked at them, and then they die. Like it was like Mephisto was like, ha ha, and then like Thanos is like, what are you doing? And then like kills him instantly. It's like, what? So like the buildup of like his betrayal, which they kept alluding to the whole like 4 issues before this, was like, and then he just dies real quick. And so I was like, God damn it! Like, why? There's no big payoff for that, and yeah, I was so invested in like, what's he gonna do? Like obviously he's got like other motives or whatever. So like, what's gonna happen? And then it was just he wanted the glove for himself, and he did a bad move, and he died.
He died. Yeah, it didn't. I like that Cap didn't die. Actually, he just got backhanded. Like because
Yes.
the Silver Surfer distracted him, and he's like, "Screw off, Cap," and he just backhands him.
Yeah.
And then the Celestials come, like you said.
Yeah.
So the only other one that gets kind of a part of it, and this is kind of what leads to his downfall, is that Eternity is like, I will like.
Yeah, he's apparently Eternity. I don't know who Eternity is. I've never read a comic with him. Apparently, Eternity is the most powerful being in the Marvel universe. He's like the universe,
all of time and space. I guess?
Yeah, they make him seem like, well, he's not all of time because there's another guy named Kronos who's the god of time. So I assume he's all of space. So he's all of the universe in a embodiment or something. So he fights Thanos, and they have like a big. And it's weird because like these are supposed to be big and epic, but they don't have enough time to really show these fights.
Yeah.
So it's like one page or 2 panels or something on a page, and so this fight is supposed to be more epic. Now, when he's fighting the heavies, Death does something. I think she tries to trick him right after Mephisto. Like when the heavy hitters are like, let's all attack him at once. They all try to like shoot the beams at him or something and capture him. Like it was very unclear, but Death basically goes away for the rest of the comic. I don't know if she was.
Oh,
captured.
Yeah, because she like, I guess she like does something. She like
puts a beam on him too with all the big heavy hitters.
She frees some of the. There were a couple people that Thanos had like trapped there, as not like slaves, but just like as like viewing things that were going on, like his brother.
Yeah,
they didn't really play any part of the story. They were just trapped there for Thanos' amusement.
Yeah,
him and then Thanos' granddaughter Nebula, and she like, I guess, kind of like frees them from their like entrapment kind of state.
And then she tries to zap him, and then he does something, and then you never see her again. So he went from like, she is the love of my life of all eternity, to, hey, what the fuck, bitch? And then like zaps her, and then like, I got my better wife. So,
I created a better wife.
I still got a better wife. So yeah, so right after that, that's when Eternity shows up, and then they fight. So Eternity and him fight, and it's supposed to be this big epic thing, but it only lasts like a page maybe. And then you don't know what happened. Everything kind of goes black. And then like
you see Thanos's
body like falls, and like, what happened? And like Taraxia is like, my love, what's wrong? And he goes limp. And then like a cosmic Thanos appears, like in the body, like
in the sky, stars.
The star body is Thanos, just like Eternity was like a body full of stars.
Yeah, he's like, oh well, I'm Eternity now. Basically, I am the all powerful in the universe.
But what he forgot was now his glove is on a slumped over body. So he's all like fight. Now he's like, ha ha, I will fight everyone, and he starts like, about to kill people, and then Nebula, who like is like a zombie, just kind of looks, and she's like, I think I'd like to have that glove, and she's like, and she's like sliding over to it, and she like grabs it off his hand and puts it on, and he's like, what? No. And then like Nebula becomes what she used to look like, which is apparently like, I don't know, some normal beautiful looking woman or whatever, who's got blue face and stuff. She looks like the one in the movie, but with hair. Yeah. And so,
all the ladies have long hair in the
80s. It's the 80s. So or this is 91, but close enough to the 80s that they still have the sensibilities. And so, yeah, like now Nebula has the gauntlet. And right away, like, she's like, you will be, I'm going to avenge like what you did to me, Thanos. Like, she like makes him Thanos again. Like, Thanos leaves or doesn't, he goes from being celestial to back in his body again. And then she like teleports him and Taraxia into space. And then, like, that's the end of that issue.
Yeah. I know, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're like, I guess she's the person that's going to either be good or bad. We don't know, really. So then the next issue starts with him Thanos and Taraxia floating in space, and he goes, man, I wish I had, like, made her able to breathe in space. Because she's just dead.
That's right, she just dead.
Taraxia was introduced and dies in, like, 2 issues. And it's super fucked up that, like, oh man, I should have made her be able to breathe in space like me.
Oh, that's true. We forgot because so they're all there. This place they're all fighting is floating in space, and that's Adam Warlock put a spell on all of the Avengers. Like, okay, you guys are going to be able to breathe in space for like an hour for this epic battle. It's only going to take an hour.
Right. Yeah. Like we said, it's an island in space, but everybody who's there can already like breathe in space, except Taraxia, who I assume was given the power to breathe or whatever by Thanos. But since he doesn't have the glove anymore, that power went away and she just fucking suffocated in space.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think they said he had 1 hour to defeat Thanos for air. So, it's a very minor point, but yeah. So,
but just saying that made me think of it.
Yeah. So now Nebula goes, like, I will be better than, Thanos basically. And she goes, I'm going to put everything back to the way it was 24 hours ago. And she does that, but she like, and this was weird. They made such a big deal about this, but it didn't matter. They're like, she does the snap and everybody comes back to life. They're also, in the meantime, since this has been happening, like this epic battle has caused like sonic shockwaves through space, and like Earth has been going through a lot of shit. So like Earth,
it's going to enter a new ice age.
It's going to enter a new ice age because it got bumped off its axis and now it's flying away from the sun. So it's getting further and further away. And also it has like earthquakes, and California like breaks off and falls into the ocean. Like that was one of like the super fucked up crazy parts that happened, where it's supposed to be heavy hitting because it's moving so fast. It didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to.
Oh yeah, they show all the cities. Like,
they literally
flooded.
show LA fall into the ocean and millions of people die, they say. And then they're like, anyway, next panel, this guy's telling a joke.
We gotta get going.
So they don't have time in this to really flesh out some of those big ideas they have that would be really heavy hitting if they gave it some time and like some breathing room. But yeah, so she does that. Earth goes back to the way it was. All the humans go back to the way they were. Everybody comes back, and then Thanos is there again, and also Nebula looks like she did before, and he's like, "Ha ha, stupid Nebula! Wouldn't you understand that means that you would also be fucked up or whatever?" And he goes to like reach for the glove, and I thought, "Oh wow, like that's a good like take," and then she just like turns back into the way like the beautiful way.
Yeah, well, because she says, "I knew. I thought of that just a split second before you said that."
Yeah.
So I'm fine again.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't get it. Like,
she literally used her mind power in through the gauntlet to magically.
No, I get that, but I mean, why make a big deal about it if you're gonna like reverse it a second later in the comic? It was such a weird like turn. So yeah, basically, yeah, I was like, haha. Oh, never mind. Like that. So, the cosmic heavies show up again, and she like sucks Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock comes and he's like, "You need to do this," and she's like, "I don't need to do anything," and she like sucks him into the soul gem again. And so while he's in the soul gem, and this was like not, I'm figuring this out as I go because it did not make any sense why this happened, but he gets sucked into the soul gem, and then apparently this was all part of his plan.
He takes Silver
He's
Surfer
got
with
like
him.
4 steps into this plan. He takes what?
Silver Surfer with him.
Oh yeah, he takes Silver Surfer with him, but whatever. The thing that really matters is he is able to like talk to the other gems. He's like, "All right, guys, now that I'm back in the gauntlet, like let's make this fall off her hand." And so basically that's what he does. I don't quite understand, other than he figured out how to make the glove fall off her hand. She does. And we should say in the meantime, so Thanos, it's been over it's been over an hour on that area. So like all the Avengers have to go back to Earth, and they get called back before this happened with Adam getting in the soul gem. And also Thanos gets pulled back. Now Thanos is on their side for some reason. For some reason they team up with Thanos. Why the fuck would you team up with Thanos? Wouldn't you just throw him in jail or wherever the fuck you would throw him? Like the end universe or some shit? Like,
so we have to she can't have the gauntlet either. So you're gonna make sure that we can take care of that, right?
Yeah, you're gonna help us take it on now, right? And you'll be good from now on, right? And he's like, "Yeah, I promise." And he's got like his fingers crossed behind his back or whatever. So yeah, like they have Thanos, and then they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do the same plan we did again." And so that's when they attack. I think Adam Warlock shows up first. Oh no, they attack, and the same thing happens where like Nebula is making them into things and stuff, and then and like not killing them, but like turning them into certain things, and then Adam Warlock gets sucked into the glove, or into the soul gem, and then he makes the glove fall off. So the glove falls off in front of Thanos, Dr. Doom, all these people. They're all automatically like, they're salivating. They're like, glove, power glove. And they all reach for it. And then before...
I really thought this might be Dr. Doom. I didn't know how much longer we had, so I was like, oh, this will be Dr. Doom grabbing it, and finally he's going to get some of this.
Yeah, there's a reason why Dr. Doom's in this. No, there's not.
Nope.
He's just comic relief for the rest of the story.
Yep, spoiler is that he didn't do shit.
Yeah. And so before they can jump on to grab it, Adam Warlock puts it on.
He appears. He bursts out of the...
Yeah, he bursts out of the glove.
Yeah. And he's like, it's mine now, actually. Haha.
Yeah. I don't even... It's just a white light, so you don't even see how he gets the glove, but basically... You assume he was in the glove, so maybe he just embodies
materialize out of it, yeah.
And so, and then this is the part that I'm like, really? They're gonna allow this? But he's like, okay, now I'm in the power of it, and the Avengers like, cool, we're all good guys here. Now you'll take it off, or you'll build a prison for it, or make so it never happens again. He's like, that's a cool story. Actually, what I'm gonna do
is I will be the wielder of it now.
I will now be the most powerful person in the universe. Don't worry, guys. You can trust me. And they're like, really? I don't think we're okay with that. He's like, kind of tough shit. I have the glove. So then they have to accept that he's got the glove. And so I think he takes, I guess he makes Thanos normal, or he takes whatever power Thanos had ever. And
he's, and then he's nice to Thanos. He's like, we're going to go ahead and, this is something you've always wanted, I'm sure. So we're just going to plop you down on this planet, and you get to be a farmer now.
Yeah, which is kind of how Endgame starts, where he's farming on a planet. So he now Thanos doesn't have any armor. He's just in some cloth.
It's his scarecrow too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They see a scarecrow and it's with his armor and shit. And then now Thanos is like, you know what? Actually, I like this peaceful. The comic ends with Adam Warlock being like, hope you guys are cool with this, but I don't give a fuck if you're not. I'm all powerful. See ya. And the Avengers like, I guess so. And then. But everything's normal, so they're kind of okay with it, but they don't know anything about Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
So I think they might have known that he was at one time with Thanos on something, or they knew each other or some shit. Yeah. I don't know exactly what happened before, because like I said, I didn't read all the backstory on this, but he seems to be okay. And they leave it at that.
Yeah.
And Thanos is like, you know what? I think I'm better off than Adam because I like farming and it's peaceful.
Thanos has one line when he's there. He's like, you know what? Third time, he's literally third time's a charm as far as I don't think I'm going to kill anybody anymore. Yeah. I'm just going to,
They even say, I forgot about this. One of the things that they keep saying, is a possibility of why Thanos keeps losing. He constantly gets the most powerful thing in the world. Apparently he had the cosmic cube at one time. That's then he had the something else, and then the Infinity Gauntlet. Apparently, Thanos doesn't really want power. He just thinks he does. And that's why he keeps sabotaging himself. It's self-sabotage. Why? And I'm like, that's the excuse you're going to give of why he keeps losing? It's just himself that keeps fucking him up? That seemed kind of weak to me. But basically, he's like, I'm all peaceful now. And you know what? I think I have it better than Adam Warlock with all his responsibility with that power. Because with great power comes great responsibility. So
that's all of Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to, is that one line.
Yes. Exactly. So that's how it ends. It just ends with him sitting and being like, that was a weird thing that happened. My bad.
That was wild, right?
Yeah. You know what? I like being a farmer. And yeah. And so it was a weird ride. And especially in juxtaposition of the movie, because the movie is so tight and so well done, and it only uses the characters that they've already built up.
That they have.
So there's no side shit that they have to throw in there.
I will say, looking back at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when they tease Thanos at the end of the first Avengers, and they tease death a little because they have the one character says to wish whatever is to court death, and Thanos smiles. And I remember people talking about this, oh, it's because Thanos is in love with death, and I was like, okay, that's weird, but cool. And then luckily,
I'm so happy.
Exactly. That's all I wanted to say is, luckily they did not do that in the movies, because that was stupid,
and weird, and didn't need to be in it. If he had just gone to Earth and attacked Earth, that would have been a cooler story. I don't understand why they wanted it to be a philosophical story, a philosophical. I can't talk right now. A philosophical story where like it's all about people talking in rooms, and then they fight, and when they do, it's like, haha, I've thought of this ahead of time, and it's just weird. And also like Adam Warlock had a 5-layer plan of Avengers. Avengers die, Silver Surfer grab glove, not work. Okay, Celestial grab glove, nope, not work. Nebula grab glove, okay, that works kind of, but also this, she dies or it falls off, and I knew that would happen, and that's why I'm in the glove, and I have the glove. It's like, really, you thought of all that shit ahead of time?
Yeah, like we were saying, looking back at the whole comic, like he never really does anything heroic in this comic
ever.
He is all about himself. Eventually is like just him getting that glove.
Yeah, and eventually he's like, I don't need you guys to be okay with this. I'm okay with this.
Know a little more as far as like
Infinity War.
How does he become like? Does he let that corrupt him? It has to
It has to be either that or Thanos comes back and figures out how to get that glove back. Yeah. So, but I mean, like Adam Warlock has to be a bad guy, or at least that's how I would do it if I wrote this to tease for Infinity War. Like that makes sense because Adam Warlock is never a good guy in this.
That's true. You just hear that, maybe he worked with Thanos before and like he wants to stop. Okay, well he wants to stop Thanos, so we'll trust him. He's a good guy or whatever. Yeah. But then it's like, just kidding. I wanted this gauntlet for myself.
Yeah.
Screw you guys. I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm the biggest, baddest ever or whatever. So that would have been cooler.
I actually know how to use this thing, not like Thanos.
Yeah, yeah. So, anything else you want to hit on that?
No, like you said, there were a lot of characters in this, and a lot like Spider-Man. We didn't really mention he was in it, but he didn't really do anything. He
shot a web in
Thanos'
face once.
Yeah, and I mean,
most of the time there was like one panel. Oh, like they would introduce a character, you're like, okay, apparently that's going to be important, and then 3 issues later there'd be one panel where Spider-Man shoots someone in the face.
Yeah, so Cloak is in this. And like his dagger, I guess, got snapped.
Yeah. Oh, that was a big moment. Like if you like Cloak and Dagger, because Dagger got killed. Was it Dagger? Yeah, and then Cloak covers Thanos with his cloak, and then he explodes. So it was like, holy shit, he blew up Cloak.
Yeah, he was one of the crazy deaths.
Yeah, and so like there was a couple like crazy deaths like that, but then it didn't mean anything because then. Yeah. 10 seconds later, they got brought back.
That's one thing. And, one thing we want to mention is that, we're also reading this all together. So maybe some of those points being broken out as far as like what the characters were doing made sense when you're reading these a couple months apart.
Yeah.
Or at least a month apart.
Yeah.
So maybe in that aspect, knowing what Captain America was doing in this one spot, even though it didn't matter in the long run as far as reading this all together, maybe that makes sense. So,
and I'm sure there was tie-ins in those individual issues. Like if you're reading Cap, I'm sure that's tying in, and maybe it's hitting harder.
Hopefully.
Well, what would you rate this one?
So it was still fun, and I like the inspiration that they pulled things from to make some of my favorite, movies now. Like, so you got to respect the source material, the OG, as you were calling it at the beginning.
Sure.
But it was a mess. There were some really fun moments, and then there were some really like dumb moments.
Yeah.
But it was like the art was still good.
The art was fantastic.
The character, again, not knowing Adam Warlock, I still liked his design. He was cool looking. He's like a golden man, and his staff. He was weird. He had a staff. I guess that's how he helped do his magic. But it was weird that he had.
Oh, he's a warlock.
I know, but
his last name is Warlock, and he's a warlock.
Yes. Well, it was still weird. But it was overall, it was still a fun story, and I enjoy even though the stupid parts I would read, it was like, oh, that's cool, oh, that's dumb, oh, that's cool. Like it still read well. It was a good story. So I think overall I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I felt I enjoyed it. It was fast. It wasn't boring.
Yeah, it was fast. Yeah.
Is not the best way to tell this story. Like, I mean, I think if they did this event nowadays, there would definitely if they did this event in the 2000s, I think it would be more concise and together. Like Civil War, like you can read Civil War all the way through and it makes sense. And there's no like weird side plots that I remember.
Not that I remember. We should go back and read that now, being that it's been long enough.
Now that I'm comparing the two, we should read that for sure. But the first one. But I think that like there's less tie-ins that matter, and you could just read that and get the full story, and like not have to read all these other and not tie in so many things that don't go anywhere
Yeah.
or do anything.
And some of the characters, like we said, some of the characters in this, they really brought nothing, not even that much comic relief. Like, again, Dr. Doom doesn't do anything in this but be a few one-liners of, well, why is he in charge? And like it's not even really that great a comic relief.
Why yada.
Yeah. So
well, and you know what? The only one that actually pays off in this is Nebula.
that's true.
She's like in it from issue 2, and then she's like at the very end.
Aha.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, and I really liked that turn when it's like, who's gonna get the glove? And then Nebula's like, my glove, like, you know. And so I thought that was good. Like, who's gonna get it? She's gonna get it, and that's funny. Because the whole time I was like, I was like, I don't think they're gonna do anything with her, and I'm like, I was actually preparing myself to say, hey, if you're a big Nebula fan, don't pick this shit up because you're gonna be disappointed. But actually, if you like Nebula, she's gonna look different, but it's a fun story for her in this too. It doesn't seem like it for like 2 or 3 issues, but by issue 5 or 4, I can't remember which one, she picks up the glove. There's like some good, stuff with her. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. Because it just wasn't cohesive enough for me to give it a 7.
That's fine. I didn't hit right for I am super lenient on comics.
Sure.
You're more of you're that hardcore.
I just wanted to, like I said, it was fun and it was fast. It just didn't make enough sense, or didn't have that, like, it never got quite as epic as I wanted it to. It felt like it really wanted to be that epic, but it didn't have the time for it. So maybe if it spent a little bit more time on those, big things. Because also the big things weren't at the end. Like when we said California breaks off in the water, and you had said maybe it would have hit harder if they were spaced apart. Well, that panel happens in the middle of the comic, not on the last page.
That's true.
So I read
you still have to move on.
Yeah, you would still have to move on right away. So I'm like, okay, like maybe that should have been the last page of issue 1 or something, and then that's why it feels so heavy. But it didn't feel like that. So. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6. John going to give it a 7. Anything else you want to hit before we go?
Not this time, I don't think.
All right, then next week we're going to be doing a Justice League book, which we've never done before yet. So we're doing Justice League New Frontier, which is by Darwin Cook, which is fucking amazing.
This is another one it's like some of my favorite comic book art.
Yeah, so if you guys want to read along with that or just listen and get spoiled, feel free to do so. So on that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planes, trains, and comic books, all one word, at gmail.com.
Don't forget to subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel for exclusive content. We've got a lot of cool stuff in the works coming up, and Matt's just started doing his hardcover reviews on there, so check him out.
Yeah, I should have something special, actually, something extra special this week.
Quite large and special.
Yeah, it's coming this week, so hopefully I'll get that video out, but it'll be good. Yeah, and hopefully all you guys have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is at Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.